Hello, Miami. You're watching 305 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to 305 Sports Now. Once again, I am your host, Will. And today's episode, we'll definitely be talking about a lot of the official visits that have graced over at Green Tree over in Coral Gables, as we've seen guys like Jamie French, Vernell Brown, DJ Pickett, Chris Ewald, grace Green Tree, and have gotten pitched by the Miami Hurricanes coaching staff. But who else to talk about official visits and Miami Hurricane recruiting other than the famous podcaster from the Cafe and Cane podcast, and that is John. John, how's it going, my friend?
Well, it got a little wonky there with the green screen. I'm doing good, man. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, man. How was your weekend?
Can't complain. Had a nice little Father's Day, you know. The rain after like a week and a half straight finally stopped, so that was cool.
It did.
And yeah, just 2.5 months away from the season. Starting to get a little pumped for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially since summertime seems to be when recruiting really heats up, and so on. We start to see some guys commit or rumors of commitments as well in the official visits. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen, especially in the end of June, month of July, heading into August, especially when the season starts on August 31st against those lovely and very hated Florida Gators. All right, as over there in the swamp. So, all right, so John, what have you heard about the official visits? As far as how the recruits have been feeling, especially some of the guys that we're definitely targeting.
I heard that Mario is doing his thing like usual, and one common thing we've been hearing a lot of lately, and maybe this has been, secrets out at this point. Everybody knows that, this is one of the things that was kind of the staff's weapon with recruits, is kind of laying out plans for like how their career is going to look at Miami. And we got, I think we just got a crystal ball for an offensive lineman either today or yesterday for Demetrius Campbell.
Okay.
6'6", 300 pounds. Enough said. You don't have to sell me anymore. You're 6'6", 300, and Mirabal and Cristobal want you. I'm good. I'm sold. You don't have to tell me anymore. And we had visits from, of course, the stellar DJ Pickett, who is right in our backyard. We need him. we need to definitely, that secondary needs a boost as far as landing some blue chippers, landing some high-end 4-stars and some 5-star guys. We did get Zaquan Patterson last year. We did get Damari Brown the year before. Well, not last year, this year, and Damari Brown last year. But we need more. We need more of those. Secondary is such an important position, especially now in today's college football. Sometimes you need 5-6 DBs out there on a single play. So you need to be super deep there. And of course, in weeks past, he had Elijah Griffin, who's an absolute just freakazoid monster, who I see that kid and I'm like, that's who we got to be getting every year. Yeah. But you got to win. You got to earn it. You got to earn the right to be getting that kid every year. Hopefully that starts this season. And, Chris Ewald, big visit, Vernell Brown, Jamie French, all the stars, they've been passing through, so it's been good. I think we're in good positions with most of them. Long way to go before signing day. A lot of these guys, especially the way it is now, a lot of them are going to wait till like October or even signing day itself to make their decision. It's not like before where you kind of already knew, like when the season started, you had a ton of verbal commits and you were pretty, okay, that looks pretty much, that's what it's going to look like come signing day in February. But it's a little different now. Guys waited out, as they should. And yeah, no, we'll see what happens. But I like what we're doing so far.
Yeah, it's apparent that Mario is targeting defensive backs this recruiting cycle, especially since we have all these names that have been, you mentioned, and I've mentioned as well on this show as well, guys like Jabari Antoine, of course, Ben Hanks is another one, Chris Ewald It seems to be a Miami Georgia battle between for Chris Ewald, which looks like it might be Miami's guy to lose because he doesn't, from what I heard, he doesn't like to travel very far. So that's a good opportunity for the Canes. Where do you think Miami sits with DJ Pickett? They've been doing a lot, including doing a graphic of all three family members together with Cannon, Booker, which I thought looked cool as heck. Cannon, Booker, and DJ all together. It's like, where do you think DJ lands? I think it's Miami's got to lose. Some people don't think it's that cut and dry. Where do you stand?
Oh, I think it's that cut and dry. I think this is Ruben Bain last year. I think this is JoJo the year before.
Okay.
Or no. JoJo last year, Ruben Bain the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And Wesley Bassane the year before that. There's always that one guy in your backyard. It's like, okay, you can't miss on him. Like, he's yours unless you F it up. 3 years in a row, they haven't effed it up with that specific guy. And I think this year's cycle, that guy that you have to land is DJ Pickett. And yeah, outside of having like an 8-4 season or worse, yeah, I think we lock him up and he ends up being a Cane. I just think that legacy is too strong. When he's visited, it seems like he's had a great time. He's had, he's saying all the right things. You can't take everything they're saying at face value. Obviously, I just kind of, I look at the behavior more. I look at where he's visiting, how often he's visiting. And, it's, we got to prove it. We got to prove it on the field. This is definitely a show me year for Mario. I know we said that last year, but with last year, it was more like, okay, just show me progress. And he showed progress, and he brought in a number 4 class, I think, last year.
Yeah.
But, this is year 3. I don't think they're going to forgive the whole. I think kids looked at it like, well, you had a quarterback that kind of threw away a few games for you. The team overall looked better. You looked stronger in the trenches. We have a better roster now. I don't think they're going to be as forgiving in year 3. I think you really got to cash in with at least a 9-win season at the very least. The Florida and Florida State games, at least you got to split them. That's bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? So, like, look good in the big games, win at least 9. I'm saying 10, but yeah, you do your job on the field, you'll land DJ Pickett, and you'll land more guys of his caliber as well. Another guy I love in that position group is Ben Hanks. That's one I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You give me Pickett, you give me Hanks, and really, I'm happy. Whoever else you fill the boat with at that position, I'm good. Just give me those 2 guys, and I'll be thrilled.
Yeah, but what I like about Ben Hanks, I'm glad you mentioned him, is he has a lot of good instincts. He knows when to break on a ball as well. He's a solid tackler, not afraid to go after running backs either, as well. So he's kind of like the old school Miami Hurricane, like the Philip Buchanan guys, the Mike Rump guys that don't mind going in and making a tackle. So I think that's a guy that Miami really needs to get. As far as the cornerback goes, and as far as safety goes, you need to land DJ Pickett. That's a must get for Miami. And one thing about Mario is that when he targets a group of a collective group of players, he tends to land them. His first year he landed the offensive line. Last season he landed the wide receivers as well. He landed the wide receivers and the running backs. And I think this year he's really focusing on building the depth chart for the defensive back position. And he seems to be in good position, even with guys that are committed, like Jabari Antoine, was a LSU commit. And he seems to like Miami, from what I've heard. So, I mean, is there a chance they flip that kid? Any chance, or is he an LSU lock from what you've heard?
Jabari Antoine, that one's going to be an uphill battle because I believe he's from the area.
He is.
In LSU, it's hard to pry those guys away. I mean, LSU's been locking that state down for forever, it seems. So that's going to be an uphill battle. You'll always have a chance. Look, Mario has a chance with anybody. Like, he gets a seat at the table. He has a chance with any recruit. So I don't say anything's impossible. It's not like years past where certain guys were like, yeah, no way. There's always, even if it's a slim chance, there's always a chance. Outside of, like, I don't know, Dakarian Moore, who looks like I'm thinking he's going to Texas. I don't think we land him, but you look at the rest of the wide receiver group. I think he's, in my opinion, as far as wide receiver, he's the biggest playmaker in the country. But you have other electric guys you can get. Jamie French is an absolute dynamic playmaker. I think you can land him. Dallas Wilson, definitely landable. Yeah, you can bring in another crop of receivers like last year. That's elite. And yeah, like you said, when Mario sets his sights on a position group, he's like, I'm going to change this room in this offseason. He goes on a mission to do that, and it works. It was the offensive line year one, and look how much it changed in one offseason.
Yep.
And defensive line, I mean, we're going to see it in action in a couple months, but that D line, compare last year to this year. And can we get like a little bit of love for Joe Salavea, because like people were killing him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because people are complaining like, oh, we need to get more commits. So it's like, did you guys all forget how last year went? Last year we had even less at this point of the year.
Yeah,
like we got our quarterback already, who I like. I like Luke Nickel a lot. I think he has a ton of potential. Elijah Melendez. You got, I don't know the rest off the top of my head, but you got a nice little crop of guys building. You're going to start bringing in the blue chippers now. But yeah, like it was the exact same thing last year, and people were killing, especially Joe Salavea, because like we missed on Kamarian Franklin. We missed on
David
missing
Stone.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Remind me of that. the last second mind, like he changed his mind or whatever. Yeah, and then you lose out on Justin Scott, but then you get him later. We didn't know that at the time. Yeah, like, and then all of a sudden you go out and land. They did exactly what they said they were going to do. They went out and got the best D-line class in the country. And I think my boy Salavea deserves a little credit for that.
Yeah, he does.
And also, the D-line performed pretty well considering all the injuries they had last year. I mean, we got wrecked by injuries by week 2. And I think we were like number 1 or number 2 against the run in the ACC.
Yeah.
Something like that. We were near the top. So our D-line was pretty prepared last year. Inject all this new talent and all this depth. Oh my God, this D-line is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, Coach Big Joe's a good coach, man. That's the one thing. That's one thing I heard last year. It's like, well, he can coach, man, but he can't recruit. That's all Jason Taylor. That's pretty much what everybody was saying. And then he lands the interior line, and then Armando Blunt jumps in as well. He flips from Florida State, Miami, flips it, comes back, and now Big Joe's which by the way is a very nice guy. I met him at the spring game. He was very sociable with the fan base. So he's a real cool guy. So I'm happy that he's had success, recruiting and also in the form of development of players, right, as well. So, but yeah, you got to give him a lot of credit. He works them out really hard. When he brings them over, they really do work out when they're here, and he also has them very well prepared as well. So that's something I got to give him a lot of love. I know JT gets a lot of love because he brought in those edge rushers, but that interior tackle position, Big Joe has a huge hand in that recruiting.
Yeah, they both deserve credit for sure. And Mario being the brains of the operation deserves the most credit. I don't think they'd get it without him. But yeah, no, they're doing the Lord's work for sure. Both of them, they both deserve credit. JT being the sexy name and the legend down here, no one knew who Joe was, but they both deserve credit, I think.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you this question. We lose Wade and Charles, who I was surprised he decommitted because a couple years ago, his cousin did reach out and wanted me to talk about him because he was interested in Miami big time. And the feeling was obviously mutual. Something happened there that he decides to decommit. But Miami has its eyes on a lot more wide receivers as well. The Vernell Brown situation is quite interesting because he's a Florida legacy. He was originally tied to Ohio State. That's the rumor where he would commit. But now it seems like Florida State is making a charge. Okay, what have you heard about Vernell Brown? What are the Kings' chances of landing Vernell? I personally think it's a performance type of deal. How the wide receivers look this season, how Vernell Brown is going to see it. But is that draw of Florida more powerful than what the Seminole fans think it is? I mean, like, where do you see this? Vernell Brown commitment heading?
I hate to put everything on one game because that's usually not how recruiting works. But this opening game against Florida is gonna be very telling because it could. Miami could potentially bounce back from a loss week 1. I don't think Florida can just because of how their schedule looks. So Miami can capitalize and beat a team that they're better than on paper, a team they should beat. They take care of business in the Swamp. That will pay huge dividends for Vernell Brown, I think. As far as, the whole legacy thing, I think is very powerful. If Florida goes 4-8 and he still goes there, then, there wasn't much we could have done. But yeah, performance on the field, I think, is going to be big for him. And I was hearing that apparently Vernell Brown's visit with Ohio State didn't go very well, which
I went to was a French. I heard French had a horrible visit.
That was okay. Maybe I'm thinking of French. I know one of them had like not a good visit at Ohio State.
It was French. Like I didn't really mess that one up from what I heard. He was not happy.
You don't usually hear that. Like,
no, you don't.
You hear kid had a great time. They say all the right things. And if it was like meh, okay, they kind of, out of respect, they say, "Oh, I appreciate the invite," and they kind of say the right things, and that's how okay, it wasn't great. You never hear that the visit went bad. I almost died, especially with Ohio State. I mean, my God, the wide receivers they land. Yeah, I don't know if that's like an NIL thing or what. Some like negotiations or something went awry. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I mean that definitely didn't work out for him. That's why he's slated to go to Texas. As far as Jamie French goes, he supposedly he's changed his mind a little bit. I guess to keep the drama a bit more, but supposedly Miami was ranked third. It was Texas. I think it was Texas, LSU. Then third was the Canes. That was the top three in the order. Apparently, there's been a little bit of a change. Like he's leaving a bit more mystery to where he's gonna go. I think Miami could personally land him. I think that if it's about NIL, Miami has good NIL. Texas is loaded with oil money, though. Let's be honest. But Miami has pretty good NIL. They pay something that he doesn't have to worry about as well.
Something you have to think about.
Yes, they do pay. The weather's very good here, and it looks like the wide receiving core is going in the right direction with Cam Ward at quarterback. And by the way, I also heard from Mike Rum today. I'll get into what he told me today at the gym. That Reese Poffenbarger, despite what we saw in the spring game, could actually sling it very well. So if Cam Ward does go down, Reese is actually a good QB2 to keep the offense rolling. In general.
Yeah.
So going back to that, do you think that that's something that would attract French to stay in Miami or to pick Miami, or do you think that Steve Sarkisian putting a couple guys in the NFL this season is much more appealing?
Oh, look, I'll be honest, if I was a wide receiver recruit, like a top end wide receiver that I have my pick, it seems like French does as well. Yeah, Texas looks very appealing. I love Sarkisian as a coach. I've always liked the Texas program. I'm kind of glad that they're back to prominence, and going to the SEC, I'm sure that's also gonna help because they're gonna be playing top competition every single week, and they're going to be on CBS every single week probably. So I'm not going to lie, that's very tempting. And can you imagine him and Dakarian Moore in the same class? That's just stupid. That's just filthy. But yeah, but I have heard with Jamie French that he does change his mind a lot.
Okay.
So that's going to kind of be, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to follow like his top 3 or his top 5. I'm just kind of sitting back and seeing if we land him. Awesome. Fantastic. I like, obviously I like him. Dallas Wilson is another one that I feel good about. You also got Cortez Mills, who in my opinion is a little underrated. I think he's a 4-star.
He's a forgotten guy in conversation.
Well, it's such a deep wide receiver class because we're talking, we're batting with the heavyweights as far as like going after wide receivers, which is great. It was always like a notch, like the next tier down is what we were going after. And we were ecstatic when we landed those guys. But like now it's like the upper echelon where, we're battling with the elites for those guys. But yeah, Cortez Mills, in our backyard, Homestead kid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Dude, absolute playmaker. If he's part of, let's say we bring in, I don't know how many we're going to bring in, 3, 4 receivers, probably 4, I would say. If he's one of the 4, I'm very happy because I think that kid's a stud.
Yeah, there's a video of him mossing some kid. From I don't know if it was South Ridge or something like that, but he was
He
just
mosses a lot of kids.
yeah, he just absolutely obliterated this young man who was covering him at the cornerback position. So yeah, he's a good get, but he's often the forgotten guy we don't talk about because you have Vernell Brown, you have Dallas Wilson, and you have of course Jamie French. So he
Yeah.
often gets overlooked. But he's a beast. And he is on Miami's radar. Let's let the people know that Miami is talking to him. Miami is recruiting him heavily. He does communicate with Kevin Beard quite a bit as well. That it's just some of us here in social media or media in general that tend to look more at the Jamie Frenches, at the Vernell Browns, and the Dallas Wilson types. But Cortez Mills would be a good get for the Canes.
Yeah, and there was like a rumor going around about him that we weren't as interested. We weren't pursuing him as hard or something like that. I won't get into like detail on that, but yeah, there was a rumor there. Apparently, it's like not true. They're very, very interested in him. They like him a lot. Yeah, he's got the size, the length, the hands. That's the thing I like about him the most.
The strength as well. He's strong.
Strength and like deceptively quick for being a long, like lanky dude. He reminds me. I was gonna say Stacy Coley, but I think he's even bigger than Stacy. Let me look up his height and weight really quick. But he moves similar to Stacy Coley, but like a taller one, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Stacy was fast too. Yeah, a lot of quickness.
No, Stacy had legit speed.
Yeah, I remember when we landed him, how happy we were that we landed Stacy Coley.
Bro, remember his freshman year?
Yes.
He was ridiculous, man.
In that Pittsburgh game. He won the game for the team.
I think he scored like 3 different phases of the game.
Yeah. Actually, he was totally dominant.
Cortez is 6'1". He's the same size as Stacy. Okay. Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of him. I don't know maybe you have a little more insight to this than I do. You were more in the know, but yeah, with Stacy, I don't know what it was that happened. I think injuries played a factor and maybe some other off the field stuff. I don't know, but yeah, that was he should have been like a first or second rounder.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think with Stacy was the change in offenses might have hurt him a little bit. Like he went from James Coley's offense with Al Golden to then the more traditional pro style offense with Mark Richt, and then he had some growing pains. And then it wasn't really until the end of, I would say, oh my God, what was Mark Richt's first year? 2016, the 2016 season that Coley picked it up.
Came back,
yeah, he came back a bit, and he even had a good bowl game as well. But he was. He should have been a first and second round pick. He had that kind of talent, and it just didn't work out.
Oh yeah.
As well. So going back to speaking of habits, okay, as well. And Vince, Dallas Wilson is committed to Oregon, and I don't blame him. Oregon's a good program, and they're definitely playing some very good football over there, even under Dan Lanning. But he seems to like Miami quite a bit. I know he's taken a couple unofficial visits, and he had a recent OV. What are the chances that this young man is on flip watch with the Miami Hurricanes?
Just hearing a lot of rumors there. I'm hearing like you just said, he likes Miami, and that's another one. Just like Vernell Brown, performance is going to matter. Not just if we win or not, how we use our wide receivers. And I think we're going to see a lot more of what we saw against A&M last year, what we saw against Louisville, what we saw Boston College, who we played at the very end of the season. Our offense kind of, came back alive, more distributing the ball, sharing it amongst the wide receivers. And, and it's going to be Cam Ward distributing the ball. So yeah, I think if you see a return to that like style of offense, that's a little more balanced, and, every receiver has a chance to eat, because that's important. It's not just the winning. It's like, is this a path for me to get to the NFL? And, look how much the receiver room has improved, in my opinion, leaps and bounds in 2 years. Leaps and bounds. It's not even, remember who it was 2 years ago. No offense to them. A couple of them are in SMU now. They're doing all right. They're in a system that works better for them, but it's like some guys were hurt. And it was X and guys that were also, to a caveat to that, we also had Gaddis as our OC, so that didn't help them at all. I should throw that in there. It wasn't all on them, but even so, look at I was doing a show earlier today on my channel that the wide receivers, I think, are going into the season, according to PFF, ranked number 7th in the country. That's where like they ranked all the wide receiver rooms and they have us in the top 10.
Okay.
You have like 3 or 4 guys that had at least 800 yards last year. That's not, oh, he was great in high school, maybe, or, you know, hey, he flashed a couple times last year. He made that one nice play. Yeah, maybe he steps up this year. No, they've already proven it at the college level, like across the board. Jacoby, I think he was number 2 in the ACC in yards after catch. He like with 540 something, X 1100 yards. Samuel Brown 800 yards, and also Jacoby I think had 800 total. Isaiah Horton, who may be the least proven, but physically probably has the highest ceiling. You know, so, and then of course you got JoJo, Nikar, Chance Robinson.
Like, no, the wide receiver core is sick. It's absolutely sick. It's loaded this year. I really hope that Miami, I know Mario likes balance, you know, but I really hope Miami goes 60-40 passing to running ratio. I really do hope that we pass the ball a little bit more because we just have all this talent at wide receiver, and I hope we use more rotation. It's something that Shannon Dawson actually likes. Shannon Dawson, if you look at his record when he was over at Houston, they rotated the receivers a lot, and they still got their numbers, you know, with Tank Dell, Sam Brown, etc. You know, they had some solid seasons. So I really hope we see a bit more of a rotation, especially with the young guys coming in, like, you know, with Nikar and I like to see JoJo Trader on the field. I mean, that's the one thing I think that you really have to find a way to put that young man, you know, in action, because he's a special kid. He got overlooked a lot because of who the receiver on the other side of him was, which was Jeremiah Smith, you know, and understandably so. Jeremiah Smith is a beast, you know, is an absolute beast, you know, and he's built like an NFL wide receiver already as a freshman. But JoJo's no slouch, man. JoJo was a baller, man. JoJo had some catches in the state championship game that are NFL caliber catches. So I'm excited to see what he could do for Miami as a true freshman this season. So I'm very excited to see what they do with him and how they incorporate him in the offense, all right, as well. The running back core has been pretty good as well. We picked up, we have a couple guys that we're looking at. We have Gerard Pringle, all right, this season that we picked up as a commitment. We're looking at that kid from Tennessee. His name escapes me. Shakai Mills-Knight. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah, Shakai Mills-Knight, who's an absolute bruiser. All right, he's an absolute bruiser as far as physical goes, right, as well. But the talk has been also for Byron St. Louis. He seems to be a Florida State lean at the moment. Anything change with that you've heard about, or is he still kind of lean towards Florida State? It's Miami's fight to get him, especially as Miami does want to have a pipeline with heritage players.
From what I've heard, I think he's still a Florida State lean, but again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Our performance on the field will matter and could sway him. Seems like he had a good visit when he was here, but yeah, I'm just hearing more and more that, like, you know, FSU could be the favorite to land him. You know, if it's, he's a great player, but if it's him or Shakai Mills-Knight, I'm good. I know Miami wants to take a speed back and a power back, more of a bruiser, a guy that's going to move the chains consistently, and then Pringle's your guy that's, you know, can take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. You know, another guy that's oddly underrated. I think Pringle might still be a 3-star according to 247, but he doesn't play like one. A lot like Chris Wheatley-Humphrey. Yep. A lot like Chris Wheatley-Humphrey last year. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey at one point of the season was averaging like 20 yards a carry or something stupid like that. Pringle is another guy like that I think has even more star potential. So, you know, I'm excited about who we can land at running back, and then what it'll look like next year. It's, let's say you bring in, hypothetically, Pringle and Mills-Knight, and then you still have Chris Johnson as a junior. You still have Chris Wheatley-Humphrey. He'll be a sophomore. You have tight end, buddy, what's his name?
Elijah Lofton.
Elijah Lofton. Thank you.
Yeah.
I keep thinking Alston, but no, that's the DN. Elijah Lofton. Thank you. Elijah Lofton, who could play running back actually very well, and he's 6'3", 230. So he's a load. And you know, Damian Martinez will probably be gone by then, assuming he has the year we all think he's going to have. Mark Fletcher, hopefully healthy. He'll be back. He'll be a junior. Yeah, that running back room is going to be absolutely just an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Probably, look, this day and age in the transfer portal, you may lose one or two of them. That's just how it goes. And then you may fill that spot with a transfer that you bring in. But for the most part, you see how that room looks going to next year. Dude, that's legit, man. That's the kind of running back factory you see in these top SEC programs that they like, my God, as a freshman or sophomore, they look like an NFL back already. So yeah, I'm many reasons to be excited. That running back room is one of the many reasons I am.
No, absolutely. So am I. But before we go into practice and off-season conditioning for the players, I wanted to get your take on the offensive line. Some people are a bit nervous because we did lose Matt Lee and Javion Cohen, and there's the unsurety of Zach Henderson and who is going to play, the right guard position, whether it's Samson Okunola, or Matthew McCoy. If they have Markel Bell take a shot at it as well. So we're fine with the right side, but it's the left side that there seems to be some concern for people, and the center position. I'm not. Okay, I have confidence in this coaching staff, as far as the way they coach their players and their eye of talent, and the way they eye talent. Where do you see our O-line?
Solid. That's another position group that PFF had like going into the season in their top 10 rankings, top 10 O-line. I think they had them like number 8. I know some people are concerned about Maui Noah, that he missed the entire spring. Mm-hmm. That's not a guy I'm going to be concerned about. I'm sorry. He's too talented. He was too highly rated. Everybody likes to pick on like how he played towards the end of the year. He was a true freshman, and you asked the guy to start at right tackle in a Power 5 program. And he did fairly well, in my opinion. Even, he had his freshman moments for sure, but was he a liability? I don't think so. I think overall he played all right. For being a true freshman, I thought he played well.
Yeah.
There was concerns about Carpenter, our new center.
Yeah.
From
I call him Henderson. Carpenter, you're right.
Okay.
I call him Henderson. I don't know where Henderson came from.
Chantrell Henderson, maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind him.
No, definitely not.
Carpenter, so, coming over from Indiana, I know there was concern about him, that he wasn't looking as good early in spring, but then picked it up, played a lot better, played all right in the spring game. So I'm not too concerned. He's not going to be Matt Lee. I'm not expecting that. Matt Lee was an NFL center, and his style is more like you can pull Matt Lee and use him. Like if you wanted to pull two guys, like a guard and a center, Matt Lee was that mobile. He was very athletic. Carpenter's not as athletic, but he's more of like a bigger, like a mauler kind of center. Lots of experience. And I have a stat here. He led all Big Ten centers last season with a 1.9% pressure rate allowed. So he is a very, very good pass blocking center. The concern with him might be, okay, you might not be able to pull him. Okay, big deal. You can scheme around that. You know what I'm saying? So Carpenter, thankfully, he picked it up late in spring, so that gave me confidence. Like, okay, if he's just adequate, that's all we really need. Miraball's going to have you prepared. You still have the rest of the offseason, strength and conditioning. He might have come in a little out of shape. Who knows? Mm-hmm. I think he'll be ready. And then, of course, Jalen Rivers, you're good there. Mm-hmm. Who's that left guard?
To talk about McCoy or Okunola taking that spot.
Yeah. Actually, we don't have like a set left guard. It's either going to be Pancake or McCoy, which is good because whoever is the starter, I think it's going to be McCoy. He was kind of the 6th man last year on that O-line and did pretty well. I see him going in there, and maybe Pancake is like your number 6 guy that you can rotate, or vice versa. I would love to see Pancake come into fall camp and just take that job away from him. That, I like to see that competition. Inez Cooper, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 or 5 guards in all of America. Whatever he is, 6'6", 350 something pounds. He's an absolute just monster. And at times he's just, he looks bored out there. Like, I think Hoodie Girl said it on Twitter one time. She reposted a clip that he's just blocking people with like one hand. He's do like just, like making it look easy. And he's now going into his junior year. Expect Inez Cooper to be drafted like relatively. I mean, guards don't get drafted in the first round, but you know what I mean. Get drafted like in the top 4 rounds and have a nice career in the NFL. Inez Coopers is going to be that guy. And then right tackle, I put CeCe there.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
a lot of people, including my co-host Flo, he and I talk about O-line a lot, and I wouldn't mind this actually. He would love to maybe see McCoy at tackle, which I know McCoy can play tackle. This genuine possibility. He can win the right tackle job, and then you move CeCe inside. You put him at left guard. That actually, ideally, that actually might be better, because on paper, CeCe could be a better, like he's projected better as a guard. Like if you look at how he would project for the NFL, he has the body more of a guard. He doesn't have the long limbs that McCoy might have. So I could see that happening as well. Either way, all that to say, either way, I think our O-line is solid. It's going to be probably a top 20, top 15 O-line in the country.
It's nice to have all those riches, huh? At the offensive line position.
It's nice. It's, you know what? But it's kind of a drop off after that 7th guy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm a little concerned about. Because, well, I just mentioned 6. The next guy probably is Ryan Rodriguez. Most likely that's going to be your backup center.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing that he has improved tremendously. He's a different guy, a different attitude. He's put on a lot of good weight. You could see like a totally different Ryan Rodriguez. Hopefully we won't have to see it too much. We just see it in garbage time. But, you know, if let's say Carpenter gets a little nicked up, he's got to go in there. That's a guy who's now in his 3rd, 4th year with the program. He's experienced. That's what you want at center. So he could do a decent enough job. And then after that, I mean, I really want to see 2 guys, Markel Bell, Tommy Kinsler. Markel Bell, just because, bro, you are a freak. You are too big to like not be used in a game. You know what I'm saying? To not be used as a weapon. So whatever he's got to work on, dude, work on it fast, because you are an absolute freak and you can make a lot of money if you can.
Yeah.
If you can
Tommy
get
also,
in there, you know?
Tommy also played D tackle in high school too. He's actually very versatile as well.
Tommy, no, both of them. They're both freaks. I say Markel Bell because he's what, 6'8", 6'9"?
6'9".
Tommy's a freak too. Tommy's 6'6", 350, 360,
yeah.
and and carries it well. He doesn't look fat. You know what I'm saying?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't at all. Markel Bell, I think he's 6'9". It has a wingspan of someone that's like 7'2". I think I read that somewhere.
7-foot wingspan. Yeah. So
yeah.
like, if you can get one of those 2 guys serviceable for the season, and that's your 8th guy, okay, you know, I'll feel a little better. But yeah, no, certain guys on that back end, you got to get them ready just in case, because, you know, this is the nature of that position. O-linemen get really beat up, and we play a physical style.
Yeah, we do.
So yeah, I hope they get them ready.
Moving now over to conditioning and so on, and also practice. You want to talk about prior to the spring game as well. What have you heard? Who have been the standouts for you as far as some players go?
Well, I've heard, as I'm sure you have as well, OJ Frederick is really turning heads in practice.
Yes.
Or strength and conditioning. It's not technically like practice, but kind of is. Frederick is looking really good. Which I'm not shocked by. I remember when we were recruiting him and people were like, "Oh, another 3-star." Yeah. Look at the tape. You know what? I wish they would like hide the star ratings and not release it until like right before signing day. How crazy would that be? Like, because I'm very much I'm always tempted to Google and look at the profile, see the stars, but I try to resist. I'll like watch the tape first, then judge the next thing. Watch the tape, look at the visits, or look at the offers.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics with stars too. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
What was that?
There's a lot of politics with stars too. You know, it depends on what school you go to, and they also measure with NFL measurables, and it's not always fair.
There are, it's a mix. You know, you see NFL guys, the first round of the draft is, you know, you'll usually see 7, 8, 9, 5 stars or something like that. But then you see a bunch of 3 stars too. That's what doesn't get mentioned. You know, it's a mix of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Frederick, I remember loving his tape. Ryan Mack, what I loved, not so much his tape. What I loved is his Under Armour game. Like whenever a game was on TV last season where you got to see him for a full game. I forgot who he played early last season that I remember a lot of us on the Discord were watching it. That he looked really good, which is great because he's kind of Ryan Mack's a little undersized, but doesn't play like it. He reminds me a little bit of Brandon Harris, actually, the way he plays the position. Which, if he can develop into that, Brandon Harris was a stud when he was here. So I'd be very happy with that. So yeah, no, those are two guys I'm hearing good things about. Booker Pickett, I've heard some good things about. Yeah, and no, just guys are putting in that work, getting in shape. You're not hearing. I would sometimes hear about one or two guys that aren't, they come in out of shape or whatever. I'll hear that kind of like behind the scenes. I haven't heard that this season, so that's a really good sign.
Yeah. A lot has changed, especially the culture in that locker room. It's funny you mentioned both OG Frederic and Ryan Mack. We were talking about before the show. I had a conversation with Mike Rump at the gym. He and I go to the same gym, and I was telling him that the only concern I have, and he goes, the secondary. And I said, yeah, I told him I think your boundaries are fine. I like Damari Brown, and of course, Daryl Porter Jr. My only concern would be like the nickel position and so on. And then he mentioned, well, Misha's going to play more safety. He's not really going to go to nickel. But he told me, don't sleep on Ryan Mack and OG Frederic. Those guys are killing it, in the offseason. So he said that don't be so. And I said, yeah, I know. I remember, of course, yeah, I saw the tape. He goes, yeah, and they're hungry. Like we have guys now. He says we have guys now in practice that chirp at each other. They talk trash to each other. They go back and forth on each other. We didn't have that years ago. We didn't have that years ago. And I said, hey, so it's kind of like when you were playing for the Kings. He goes, yeah, man. He told me that he said that, and it's funny that every single player says this. I played in the NFL. UN practices were harder. He said UN practices were much harder in terms of the camaraderie, the way we challenged each other, the way, we held each other accountable, that actually was in the NFL. And we're starting to see that kind of building once again at the University of Miami with the young guys that we've brought in and also young guys that we recruited as well.
Thank God, man.
Yeah.
Thank God. And don't forget about Bobby Pruitt. That's another guy who's he's more of a linebacker, but because of his smaller stature and his speed, he can cover.
Yeah, he could.
There was one play, I want to say it was him in the spring game, that he ran down some receiver that got away from him. I want to say it was X, like early in the spring game. He ran him down from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marquise Lightfoot's another one too. That's another one too. And he's put on weight. All right, as well.
Yeah. Marquise Lightfoot. Yeah, no, it's perfect now because like you're not going to have to rely on freshmen. I mean, a guy like Bobby Pruitt might play right away just because he's that good. But the JoJos and the Nikars, these guys coming in, Cole McConaughey, they're going to come in, but they're going to be used sparingly because we don't need them. It wasn't like the past or even last season that we needed Maui Noah to start at right tackle because we didn't have anybody else. It's not like that anymore. It used to be 3-4 positions every year that we got to start this freshman. Let's hope. No, they're using freshmen like you're supposed to. If they earn a spot, like I think JoJo, for example, from what I saw with my eyes, dude, he may steal somebody's job at some point in the season. Because JoJo is like a cheat code. Seriously, he's ridiculous, and the way he achieves top speed, like on his second or third step, is ridiculous. So, and the thing with him was that they thought he was too slow, which I don't know where they got that from.
No, I don't either. I really I don't see slow when I looked at that kid. At all.
I just assume they see him next to Jeremiah. Maybe they watched the game and they thought, I don't know. JoJo could have switched to corner at any point and been a blue chip corner. That's how athletic he is.
Yeah, one of my closest friends at work is Coach Joe Gross. Coach Joe, coach with 4 straight state championship teams as Central. He actually had Wes and Hialeah in Independence League runner up. He coached Jamari Howard, who's going to be a freshman at Florida State. He said, and he's this guy who's been around a bunch of talented players. He said that Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver he's ever seen coming out of high school during it, since he was in education going forward. That says a lot about how good Jeremiah is, and how in shape and the body type that Jeremiah has, as far as it goes. So yeah, so JoJo got overlooked, and you're nitpicking JoJo. JoJo's a beast. JoJo is gonna be something special, and he's gonna be a Kane great. That's just my opinion, but I think he's gonna be a Kane great because the fact I've seen the tape, I saw him at spring, I've heard everything about him in practice. The kid's gonna ball. He's gonna ball. He's just gonna ball.
Yeah, he checks off every box. Work ethic.
Oh, he does.
He and he passes the eye test. Like if you were at practice, which I'm sure you were, I saw that. I saw the spring game itself. It's just, dude's just different with the ball in his hands. It's like catches it. Pew! It's like, who was that? Oh, I think he wears number 1. It's like, oh, number 1. That was JoJo. Yeah.
And he was burning veterans in practice. So he was catching over some veterans in practice as well. So that's saying a lot about JoJo Trader, man. I mean, I'm telling you, if you don't know who JoJo Trader is, watch his film in high school, watch the spring game. You're really going to enjoy what you see with this young man. Miami got a really good one for this upcoming season. John, thank you so much for joining us here at 305 Sports Now. Love having you on. Love your insight. Love your show as well. So let us know where we can find you, sir.
Just look on the YouTube search thingy. Cafecito and Kane, Cafecito and Canes, it should pop up, just go on there, click on it, subscribe. You can follow me on X. I'm trying to get used to saying X and not Twitter. It looks like they've made the full switch now. There's my handle right there. You can follow me. And that's the best way to reach me. If you're out there, you're a content creator, you want to have me on your show, you want to collab or network or whatever, that's, hit me up in the DMs there. I'm very, I try to answer as quick as I can.
All right. Thank you, John, once again for joining us. Once again, I am Will. If you like what you saw today, hopefully you did, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. And do not forget to subscribe to Cafecito and Kane. Great content, great guest, great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Stay safe. God bless. See you soon. All about to you guys. Bye-bye.